So you tried to kill yourself? Now what? I'm your host, Olivia Catherine, and I cannot believe we're here at episode 4. Seriously, when I started this journey, I never imagined how much this community would grow in such a short time. But here we are, and it's all because of you. I want to start today by expressing my deepest gratitude for everyone tuning in, sharing your feedback, and for being a part of this conversation so far. You're not just listeners. You are a part of a movement. And let me tell you some about the wins that we've had as a community, because I think these are worth celebrating. We've hit 200 plus followers on Facebook, 30 plus followers on Instagram, and this is huge. We've received 3 incredible story submissions. My heart is so full right now. Knowing that you trust this space to share your stories is the greatest honor. I've also received some incredible messages that truly fuel my soul. One listener said, "Thank you for the work you do. I really believe that if we can't talk about our experiences with suicide, we can't heal from them or help others." Another shared, "Holy crap, dude, I just listened to the first episode of your podcast. It's so good. You're a gutsy lady tackling such a difficult topic." And then this one that really stuck with me. "It's just nice to feel like I have company while I'm out walking. It doesn't feel so lonely." That's what this podcast is all about: connection, community, and reminding each other that we're never alone. Now, let's ground ourselves in why we're here. The reality of suicide is heartbreaking, but it's the reason these conversations matter so much. Did you know 12% of people have had thoughts of suicide in their lifetime, and 2.6% of them have had them in the past year? 4.2% have planned suicide in their lifetime, and 0.8% of those have happened in the past year. And don't forget, 3.1% have attempted suicide in their lifetime, with 0.3% in just the last year. These aren't just numbers. They're real people, real lives, and real stories. But before we dive deeper, I want to take a moment to remind you of something important. I am not a licensed mental health professional. I'm just someone who has been there, someone who survived, and is determined to break the stigma. The tools and stories I share come from my personal journey, and they're meant to inspire, not replace professional guidance. If you're looking for more, please reach out to your doctor or your GP. And if you or someone you know is struggling right now, please do not hesitate to reach out. In Canada or the US, you can call or text 988. That's the Suicide Crisis Helpline. They're available 24/7 to support you. You are not alone. Now, let's talk about something that might feel impossible to some: finding happiness after hitting rock bottom. Here is what I've learned. Happiness isn't a grand destination. It's not some elusive state that only a lucky few get to experience. It's found in the small, meaningful steps we take every single day. I want to share a quote with you that has carried me through some of my darkest moments. Happiness can be found in even the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. So let's talk about turning on that light. Let's talk about redefining happiness and exploring the steps we can take to rebuild a life we love. Are you ready? Let's dive in. All right, let's get real. I want to start with a reality check, because when it comes to happiness after a suicide attempt, there's a lot that society doesn't tell you. Happiness doesn't just happen. It's not something you just wake up feeling one day, as if life hit some sort of reset button. It took me 5 years from my last attempt in 2020 to even be able to talk about it as it was, a suicide attempt. 5 years. And even then, I'm still navigating this messy, complicated journey of figuring out how to be happy with being alive. Working in my profession with young people, I've seen firsthand how little support we offer for life after survival. So often it's like, here's some medication, you'll be fine. But what about the part where we teach people how to thrive? What about the part where we show them how to create a life they can love, despite the trauma, the pain, and the scars? One young person told me, "I don't know how I can't just be happy I survived." And that broke me, because we don't talk about this enough. We don't talk about how surviving is just the beginning. Let me be clear. Life after a suicide attempt is not the same as it was before. People will look at you differently. They will treat you like a fragile bird. They will walk on eggshells to avoid setting you off. Your problems don't magically go away because you've survived. The abuse, the pain, the fear, it's all still there. And depending on your attempt, you might be left with physical scars that serve as constant reminders. But the thing is, it's not about returning to the life you had before. It's about creating a new one that feels worth living. Life after an attempt is messy. It's hard. It's fucking painful. But it's also beautiful. The fact that you're still here means that the world still needs you. You're here for a reason. Happiness, love, light, and joy, it's all possible for you. But it starts with letting go of the hold your attempt has over you. Your attempt does not define you. What matters is how you show up next. So, what is happiness really? Happiness isn't this elusive, magical state where everything is perfect and nothing goes wrong. It's not a destination. It's waking up and feeling excited for the day, finding joy in the little things like a hot coffee or a funny meme, and knowing you're doing the best you can, even when life throws you curveballs. For me, happiness is about choosing me. It's about prioritizing self-care and realizing that thriving is so much better than just surviving. But the reality is, happiness isn't one-size-fits-all. It's deeply personal and unique to each of us. What makes me happy, like riding on the back of a motorcycle, might not be what makes you happy. And that's okay. But discovering what makes life worth living is a journey. And sometimes that journey is messy, uncomfortable, and downright hard. It's not just about finding what brings you joy. It's about learning how to hold on to that joy, even when life keeps throwing punches. The second hardest thing about life after a suicide attempt is learning that life is worth living, despite all the shitty things that continue to happen. And the hardest thing is realizing that circumstances are neutral. Life doesn't change. We do. Yes, bad things happen, but we are the ones that assign meaning to those things. And that's what determines how we react to them. When I learned this, it changed everything for me. I stopped letting every bad moment spiral into self-harm thoughts or worse. I started asking myself, how can I grow from this? And how can I use this to help someone else? Let's talk about what gets in the way of happiness next. First, we have guilt. Survivor's guilt is heavy. It's one of the most significant barriers to rediscovering happiness after a suicide attempt. The feeling that you're somehow undeserving of a second chance at life can genuinely be overwhelming. But here's what we need to understand. Guilt, while powerful, is not just an emotion. It's a physiological and psychological response. According to research, guilt often manifests physically. It's not just in our heads. Our bodies respond to guilt through changes in heart rate, skin conductness, and even stomach activity. This can create an overwhelming sense of discomfort and restlessness, keeping us trapped in this cycle of self-blame and regret. But the truth is, guilt has a purpose. It's designed to encourage pro-social behavior and repair relationships. However, when it becomes excessive, when it starts to consume us, that's when it stops being helpful and it begins to hold us back. This is especially true for survivors of suicide attempts. The weight of survivor's guilt can feel unstoppable, leading us to believe we don't deserve happiness or healing. But healing requires giving yourself permission to enjoy life. It's not about forgetting the past. It's about learning to live with it in a way that honors survival. Here's something that shifted my mindset. Guilt doesn't define your worth or your ability to heal. It's a signal, not a sentence. You can acknowledge it, learn from it, and still move forward. Healing starts when you give yourself permission to feel joy again. even if it's just in small, fleeting moments. And that brings us to fear. Because it's scary to embrace happiness when you're afraid of losing it, I understand. For some, this fear runs so deep that they even avoid joy altogether. There's a name for it also. Cheeriophobia, which is the fear of happiness. People with cheeriophobia may actively avoid situations or experiences that could lead to joy or excitement because they associate happiness with negative consequences. This fear isn't irrational. It's often rooted in past experiences. Maybe happiness felt fleeting and its loss was painful, or maybe being happy seemed to invite bad luck or disappointment. It's also common for people who have experienced trauma to fear happiness because they are constantly bracing for the next bad thing to happen. But here's the thing. Avoiding happiness does not protect you from pain. It only robs you of joy. Fear of losing happiness doesn't make the joy you feel any less real. The truth is, joy, however brief, is still joy. Embracing those moments of happiness, even if they feel small or temporary, is part of healing. And here's the good news. Fear of happiness is something you can work through. It starts with recognizing the patterns that make you avoid joy, reframing your mindset, and slowly exposing yourself to situations that bring happiness in manageable doses. It's okay to take small steps. Celebrate little wins, a funny meme, a beautiful sunset, a quiet moment with someone you care about. Let yourself feel the joy, even if it feels vulnerable. Over time, the fear will lose its grip on you, and you'll remember that happiness isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace, one moment at a time. The truth is, even fleeting moments of joy are still meaningful. They don't vanish when challenges arise. They become a part of the foundation for something deeper. Did you know that happiness isn't something external? It's not found in things or circumstances. It is something that's already inside you, waiting to be uncovered. Let's dig a little deeper into this fascinating part of your brain. The Reticular Activating System, or RAS, acts as the gatekeeper of your mind. It's a network of neurons in your brainstem that filters the overwhelming amount of sensory information we encounter every day. Essentially, it decides what's worth your conscious attention and what gets filtered out. But here's the cool part. You have the power to influence your RAS. When you practice gratitude or intentionally focus on positive things, your RAS adapts. It starts to prioritize these moments and experiences, making them more noticeable in your daily life. This isn't just positive thinking. It's a literal rewiring of your brain to see more joy, more beauty, and more reasons to smile. Now, let me be perfectly clear. This is not toxic positivity. I'm not saying you should ignore the hard stuff, slap on a fake smile, and pretend everything's fine. Life is messy, pain is real, and some days are just plain awful. But what I've learned, and what science backs up, is what you focus on grows. If you're constantly focusing on the negative, the struggles, and the heartbreak, your RAS will amplify those things. It's not about pretending the bad doesn't exist. It's about not letting it take up all of the space in your mind. When you choose to balance your focus, acknowledging the hard moments and seeking out small joys, you're training your RAS to create a healthier, more balanced perspective. It doesn't erase the challenges, but it does help you find the strength, beauty, and the light in the midst of them. This is the opposite of toxic positivity. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience and allowing yourself to see the good even when life gets tough. So, if you've ever felt stuck in the dark, just know that your RAS is like a muscle. The more you train it to notice the small joys, the better it gets at showing them to you, even when life feels overwhelming. It's not magic, it's science, and it's a tool we can all use to help ourselves grow. And the result? Over time, you naturally start to seek out and notice the good in your world. It's not that life suddenly becomes perfect. It's that you've trained your brain to see the light in the dark, the beauty in the chaos, and the happiness in the small, fleeting moments. This is the power of your mind at work, creating space for joy, even in the messiest seasons of life. And this is where gratitude becomes a game changer. Research has shown that practicing gratitude can shift your mindset, enhance your psychological well-being, and even improve your physical health. But again, let me be clear. It's not about ignoring the hard stuff or pretending everything is fine. Toxic positivity is pushing only the good and ignoring the bad, and that is not what this is about, okay? It's about acknowledging both. Gratitude helps you see the beauty in the chaos. It does not erase the chaos itself. Gratitude doesn't just make us feel good, it's transformative. It strengthens relationships, helps us find joy in the small things, and reminds us of the goodness that exists even during tough times. For me, this became clearer during moments as simple as watching the sunrise, or even just savoring a warm cup of cocoa. Those small moments of gratitude shifted how I approached my days, giving me a foundation of calm and joy even in life's messiest seasons. Gratitude is powerful because it reminds us of one essential truth. No matter how dark things feel, there's always a flicker of light to hold on to. By focusing on those sparks, you train your brain to see more of them, and that's how you start rewriting your narrative, one moment of gratitude at a time. So how do we get there? Let me walk you through some steps that have worked for me. Step 1. Start small. Happiness doesn't come from giant leaps. It's found in the tiny moments we often overlook. Think about the warmth of the sunrise hitting your face, the first sip of your morning coffee, or even the sound of your fiancé's laughter filling the room. These moments may seem small, but they're powerful reminders that joy can be woven into our daily lives. Here is an actionable tip for you. At the end of your day, write down 3 little moments that made you smile. Even if it's something as simple as, I saw a cute dog on my walk today. It trains your brain to notice and appreciate the good. Step 2. Be curious. Curiosity is the antidote to stagnation. It's about asking what if and being willing to explore. What if you tried painting, even if you're not Picasso? What if you picked up a pen to write, even if no one else reads it? Or what if you volunteered, giving your time to a cause that sparks your heart? Curiosity isn't about being perfect. It's about opening yourself up to possibilities that you never knew existed. Here's an actionable tip for you. This week, set aside 30 minutes to try something new. Maybe you learn a quick recipe, doodle in a notebook, or take a new route on your daily walk. The goal isn't mastery, it's discovery. And step 3, focus on gratitude. Gratitude is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Even on the darkest days, there's always something to be grateful for, no matter how small. For me, it's often the comfort of my kitty cat's purring or the peace of a quiet moment. Gratitude rewires your brain to see the good, even when life feels overwhelming. Actionable tip: start a gratitude jar. Each day, write down one thing you're thankful for and add it to the jar. And then on days you're struggling, go back to it and read your notes. It's a tangible reminder of the joy that you've experienced. And step 4, build community. Healing was never meant to be a solo journey. Whether it's joining a group like the Rewrite Collective, sharing your story, or building relationships that inspire and support you, community is where growth flourishes. The people you surround yourself with can lift you up on the hard days, and they'll celebrate with you on the good ones. And here's an actionable tip. Take the first step. Join a mental health support group. Reach out to someone you trust, or even comment on a post in a community like the Rewrite Collective. It can be as simple as saying, I feel this too. So let me say this one more time. Happiness is not a destination. It's a series of intentional choices. Start small, stay curious, express gratitude, and lean on others. By weaving these into your life, you'll start to create a life that feels not just worth living, but full of joy, connection, and purpose. Happiness isn't about having it all figured out. It's about embracing the imperfect and finding beauty in the little things. Those small, meaningful moments are what make life worth it. And the best part? You don't have to walk this path alone. Healing isn't linear, and And neither is happiness. Let's be real. You're not going to have everything figured out overnight. And you know what? That's okay. Release the expectation that you need to fix everything right away. Research shows that forming a new habit takes on average 66 days. Not 21, not a month, but about 2 months of consistency. That means even the smallest steps you take today can build momentum toward lasting change. Think of it this way. Every time you choose to practice gratitude, engage in self-care, or reach out to someone who supports you, you're reinforcing a positive habit. And over time, these small intentional actions add up. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Starting small is key. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Maybe today your step forward is as simple as jotting down one thing you're grateful for. Tomorrow it could be taking a 5-minute walk to clear your head. Each tiny step compounds, building the foundation for something greater. So as you navigate this journey, be patient with yourself. The road to healing and happiness isn't a straight line. It's a winding path. And the beauty is, you get to decide on how you walk it, one step at a time. Happiness doesn't just show up at your doorstep. It's something we actively create, piece by piece, moment by moment. And while it might feel overwhelming to even think about where to start, the good news is you don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Small, intentional actions can lead to big changes over time. So let's dive into a few simple tools that you can start using today to build your own path to joy. Think of these as stepping stones, guiding you toward a life that feels not just manageable, but truly worth living. Number 1, journaling prompts. Journaling is really one of the most powerful tools for self-discovery and emotional clarity. Here are 2 prompts to help you dig deeper into your own happiness. Prompt number 1. What does happiness mean to me right now? Reflect on how your definition of happiness might have shifted. Is it peace? A sense of purpose? Small moments of joy? Write freely and let your thoughts flow without judgment. And journal prompt number 2. What's one thing I've done this week that brought me joy? And remember, this isn't about grand achievements. It's about celebrating the little wins. Maybe it was enjoying a favorite snack. Maybe it was finishing a good book. Or maybe it was just that you laughed with a friend. The act of writing allows you to pause, reflect, and reconnect with yourself. Over time, you'll begin to notice patterns in what brings you joy and fulfillment. And then we have number 2, gratitude practice. Happiness honestly starts with gratitude. Try this simple daily exercise. At the end of each day, write down 3 small joys that you experienced. It could be as simple as hearing birds outside your window, enjoying a good meal, or a kind message from a friend. If writing feels like it's too much, you could use a voice memo, or even try snapping a picture of the moments that bring you joy. And why does this work? Because gratitude rewires your brain to focus on your positive. Remember, our rest. It shifts your perspective from what's missing to what's already there. Number 3, you want to encourage connection. Healing and happiness thrive in community. You do not have to do this alone. Here's a simple action step. Share one thing that makes you happy in the Rewrite Collective. Whether it's a quote, a picture of your pet, or even your favorite comfort food. Let's celebrate joy together. Connection isn't just about being seen. It's about seeing others and realizing we're all navigating life's ups and downs. Plus, sharing your joys can inspire someone else to find theirs. These tools are simple, but they're so powerful. Whether it's through journaling, gratitude, or connection, you are creating intentional space for joy in your life. One step at a time, one practice at a time even. You are building a life that feels worth living. So let's pause for a moment and really think about this. What's one small step that you can take towards happiness today? It doesn't have to be anything ground or groundbreaking, but maybe it's taking 5 minutes to enjoy your coffee without distractions. Maybe it's texting a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe it's writing down one thing you're grateful for. But whatever it is, make it yours. a step that feels doable and meaningful in this moment. Remember, it is not about perfection. It's about progress. Those small steps add up, and they pave the way to something bigger. You've got this. Before we part ways today, let's pause and reflect on everything we've uncovered in this episode. Happiness doesn't have to be loud or flashy. It doesn't have to scream its presence to the world. It can be a quiet moment that's just yours. A sunrise, a laugh, a fleeting thought that reminds you, I'm still here. We've talked about some hard truths today. Healing isn't linear, and neither is happiness. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and yet it's still possible. The journey to happiness doesn't have to start with giant leaps. Sometimes it begins with the smallest, most intentional step. A deep breath, a whispered affirmation, or a moment of gratitude for something as simple as a warm cup of tea. We've explored tools today that might help you find your way. Gratitude, curiosity, journaling, and connection. These aren't just words, they're lifelines. They're small shifts that over time create big changes. And here's the most important part. You don't have to take this journey alone. Now, let's end today with an affirmation. A moment to center yourself and breathe in what you deserve. If you're able, say this with me. I am worthy of happiness, no matter how small the moment. Did you hear that? Let's say it again. I am worthy of happiness, no matter how small the moment. Let that sink into your bones. You are worthy. Before we wrap up, I want to personally invite you to join the Rewrite Collective. This is your space, a place where we don't just talk about surviving, we talk about thriving. A place where your voice matters, your story matters, and you're surrounded by people who understand the weight you carry. Together, we're rewriting the narrative and building a community where happiness isn't just a fleeting idea. It's something we're actively creating. And as we close, let me leave you with a little teaser for next week's episode, Breaking the Shame Cycle. Shame can feel suffocating, like it's written to our DNA, but it doesn't have to define you. We'll explore how to release its grip and take the first steps towards freedom. So until next time, remember this. Happiness doesn't have to be perfect or permanent to be real. It's already within you, waiting to be uncovered. Take one small step today, a breath, a word, a moment, and know that you are not alone on this journey. I'm here, this community is here, and we're rooting for you every step of the way. Until next time, babe, take care of yourself. I love you, and you matter, my friend.